Hi, I'm Jeremy from Nonprofit Bookkeeping, and today we are going to talk about something that nearly every nonprofit has, but few of them really think about: your bank. So, most organizations pick a bank once, and usually because somebody suggested it or it's a local bank, and then set it and forget it, right? Never think about their banking relationship again. But here's the thing: your banking relationship can quietly support your mission or cause risk for it, cause time coming away for your mission, or just general headaches. So it's something important to consider. So today we will cover what really matters to a nonprofit banking relationship, some mistakes that are often made, and how to get the most value from your bank without becoming a financial expert. Why do banks mean a little more to nonprofits than potentially for-profit businesses? Not just about holding money, it's about your cash flow timing, donor compliance, internal controls, fraud prevention, and just the quality of your overall bookkeeping and financials. Especially if nonprofits are dealing with restricted funds and grants, board oversight, and needs to have public trust. It means your bank needs to understand a nonprofit and its operation. So what are the important things to consider when you're thinking about your banking relationship? Is first of all, ask if they have a strong nonprofit banking presence at that location or at that institution, right? They need to understand that it's a different ball game than for profit. A major red flag is hearing a checking account is a checking account, right? Your bank should support multiple accounts and, if needed, dual approvals and clear user permissions. Avoid the one-stop shop where there's only one level of permissions at your bank. So strong controls protect your organization, your staff, and board. Ideally with the option to set up full user admins and then at least read-only account access as well. As a organization that is contracted to support many nonprofits, we want to be able to access your online banking information so we can save you time. We want to go get those financial statements monthly or more often. We want to look at check images and all the other things you can see from daily transactions. But we can't have access to move your money. That is a ridiculously bad control out there, and we've all heard the horror stories. So having at least those two options, or even other customizable options that you may have for people internally on your team that only need to do bill pay or post checks or anything like that, could be really important. So what kind of instruments does this financial institution have for you, right? Everybody's got the checking accounts and usually basic savings, but if you have other funds laying around, do they have money market options that are out there, investment options? Or even on the other side, will they support you if you're going to need a loan, whether that's a regular term loan or of a line of credit, right? If nonprofits have a lot of reimbursable grants that they spend the money and get that money later, it's good to have that line of credit at least available to be able to float that cash flow between when the money is spent and when it gets received from your grantors. Also, make sure you pay attention to the fees, right? Some of them have minimum balances out there that are required. Some of them just have a general monthly fee that's out there. So pay attention to that. Those can add up quick. And many locations offer specific nonprofit checking or nonprofit savings accounts. That could be helpful as well. And if you have reserve funds available, get that money out there working for you and get it in one of those money market or potential investment accounts. Make sure your board approves whatever your investment strategy is and everybody's comfortable with that. But a lot of banks are simply not competitive on these rates, and you want to make sure you're being good stewards to those funds that you have and have a little extra money at the end of the year. Then one from your account that we love and hit home every day: make sure that the access is readily available and you have integrations that are out there. Can the online portal for your bank integrate with tools like QuickBooks Online and other tools like that that'll integrate right into your accounting system, making things more efficient, giving you better visibility to your funds? Now, this next one, not a lot of people talk about, and this is something you should ask pretty early to make sure you're comfortable with it. But there are a lot of financial institutions that still require, whether the board president or the executive director or some individual with the organization, your personal credentials, your social security number, and things like that in order to open accounts with the bank. Are you comfortable with this? There are financial institutions that don't require it, but most of the organizations like that are a little bit behind the times and still require it. And this can be a little bit problematic, especially if they're asking for board information and that turns over regularly. That can be a lot of extra work for incoming board presidents or treasurers. This next one I love too. Will the bank support your mission, right? There are a ton of really charitable banking organizations out there that have funds available to give back to their communities or specific causes. Research the bank and ask them, what is your history of giving back to organizations like ours? And could you build a relationship with them where they can be giving some of that money back to support your cause and your mission while you are benefiting them by having your funds in the bank? Really important thing to take a look at. And then how important is it that you have a person there? If you are a completely remote team and you're really focused online, it may not be as important, but it can be to have that branch and that local person that you're connected to, especially if you're not a finance wizard, that you have a name to go to and a face that you could talk to when you have funding needs, when you have questions about their fees, or anything in the banking world to talk to. This is especially important if you are in a high growth organization or have lumpy cash flows, right? That you can talk through what options may be available to support you during these times of growth or the lower times of your cash flow. And we've talked about some of the shortfalls already with several banks or mistakes that other nonprofits may make, not looking at the returns, not looking at their fees that are out there, just kind of setting and forgetting it with your banking relationship. One other to think about is the FDIC insurance, right? That covers up to $250,000 in any financial institution, and credit unions included, right? So is this enough to cover the funds that you have there? It's not a high risk, but if you have an audit, that is something that the auditor will call out. Just make sure you understand that and that your board understands that as well. So to summarize here, take the time and look at your banking relationship and make sure it is providing the most value that it can to your organization to help you sustain your growth and your financial solvency. So your bank may not be the most exciting part of your nonprofit, but the right banking relationship saves you time, reduces your risk, and makes your financial management much, much smoother. If you haven't reviewed your banking relationship recently, this is your sign to go and do that.